It was an ordinary Tuesday morning when Chloe walked into the office, hopeful for another productive day. She had worked hard at the small marketing firm for over 2 years, earning her place with late nights and countless hours of dedication. Chloe was a shining example of persistence, but she was also different. She was a woman of color in a predominantly white, corporate world. And while the office may have been diverse in some ways, the boss, Thomas Blackwood, was an exception. He wasn't known for his kindness, but rather his old-fashioned, somewhat harsh demeanor. Still, Chloe always remained professional. Little did she know, that day would change her life forever. Thomas had always kept a distance, his conversations cold, his interactions stiff. It was subtle at first, but over time, Chloe began to notice things. Little comments slipped through about her appearance, her accent, and even her background. "You sure you're up for this?" he once asked when she suggested a new marketing strategy. It was a remark she tried to brush off, but something about it didn't sit right. And it wasn't just her, other employees had experienced his passive aggression, too. It seemed like a case of simple office politics at first until it went too far. One day, Chloe found herself summoned to Thomas's office. The meeting was brief, to the point, and crushing. "We're letting you go, Chloe," Thomas said, his eyes not quite meeting hers. "This company isn't a good fit for someone with your style." The words hit her like a slap. She had been fired. Just like that. Chloe was left in shock as her belongings were packed into a box, the weight of it all sinking in as she tried to process what had just happened. She knew her work had been solid, but it wasn't until later that she realized the truth. She wasn't fired for her work. She was fired because of Thomas's prejudice. But in that moment, she couldn't prove it, not without solid evidence. Weeks passed. Chloe, devastated at first, slowly found strength in her determination. She started looking for new opportunities, and in the process, she made a name for herself in the marketing industry. Her reputation as an innovative, hard-working professional spread like wildfire. She landed a position at a larger firm, one with a reputation for diversity and inclusion, and quickly rose through the ranks. Her creativity, energy, and drive made her a force to be reckoned with. Chloe's new role gave her the freedom to be herself, to truly show what she could do. As her career flourished, Chloe found herself in the position she had always dreamed of, leading a team. The firm's success and the projects she spearheaded caught the eye of many, including Thomas Blackwood. He had heard about Chloe's impressive rise in the marketing world and, intrigued, reached out to reconnect. But this time, the circumstances were entirely different. It was Chloe who received the call, not the other way around. "Chloe, I've seen your success," Thomas said over the phone, his tone cautious but polite. "We've got some new openings here, and I'd like to talk about a potential partnership. Could we meet?" Chloe was taken aback for a moment, but she knew this was an opportunity to face him on her terms. The meeting was set. When the day arrived, Chloe walked into Thomas's office with confidence. She had grown since the day he'd fired her. She had a sense of self now that could not be shaken. Thomas greeted her with a smile, though it was clear that he wasn't prepared for what was coming. "Chloe," he began, trying to soften the awkward tension, "I'm impressed by your work. I think we could really use someone like you on board with us." Chloe paused for a moment, looking him in the eyes, knowing that now, she held the power. "I appreciate the offer, Thomas," she said with a cool professionalism, "but I think you've got the wrong idea. You see, there's a new position opening up at your company. And I'd like to apply for it." The silence in the room was thick. Thomas blinked, unable to process what she had just said. The idea that the very employee he had fired weeks ago, an employee he had written off, was now in the position to run the show was both shocking and humbling. The tables had turned. In a dramatic turn of fate, Chloe's new company had purchased the very firm where Thomas worked, and Chloe was now in charge. The power had shifted, and with it, a sense of justice and poetic retribution. Chloe smiled as she looked at him, no longer the timid employee she once was. "I think it's time we talk about your future here," she said, now firmly in control. Thomas, visibly stunned, had no choice but to sit back and listen as Chloe outlined the changes she planned to bring, changes that would ensure fairness, inclusivity, and respect for all employees. He had underestimated her, and now he was going to witness firsthand what happens when someone, against all odds, rises up and takes charge. In the weeks that followed, Thomas struggled to adapt to the new leadership. Under Chloe's guidance, the company flourished with a renewed sense of unity and purpose. Those who had once been marginalized found a voice, and the office culture transformed for the better. As for Thomas, he became just another employee in the company that had once been his. Chloe's rise wasn't just a personal victory, it was a triumph for everyone who had ever been underestimated, silenced, or cast aside. She didn't just get her revenge, she created a space for others to thrive, and in doing so, she became the leader she had always hoped to be. As the story comes to a close, we're left with this important reflection: no matter what obstacles we face, no matter how many times we're knocked down, the power of perseverance, the belief in our worth, and the courage to rise above injustice can lead to unexpected victories. For Chloe, it wasn't just about proving Thomas wrong, it was about making the world a better place, one step at a time. So, remember, the next time someone tries to take your voice away, or tells you that you don't belong, don't let them win. Use their doubt as fuel, because the world has a way of turning things around when you least expect it. And sometimes, the biggest comeback is the one that changes everything.